What's up, squad? It's Brandon from the Bantu Sun. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today I wanted to address a viewer question coming from infamous Austin To. So thank you so much, Austin, for writing your question. I always appreciate it. And I just want to make sure I do it justice. So I want to make sure I read everything and then I'll respond accordingly. So this comment was left on the video I posted around Europe needing Iran more than ever, and also brings up, do you think Canada should make an offer to Greenland to join them as a new province or territory? The way he's looking at it, with Canada, the people in Greenland can keep things like their free healthcare. They'll have the backing of the Canadian military, even though it's not on par with the US. But if the US can get Greenland, then the US will have Canada from three sides and put Canada in potentially a tougher position. But if Canada can get Greenland, it could further solidify its control and authority in the Arctic, be slightly closer to Europe, and to deny the US another angle on itself. Now, if he was prime minister, he would of Canada, he would be making offers to Greenland to join Canada for the reasons I stated above, for he stated above. Then he make an offer to Haiti to join Canada. It will make a monumental task, but rebuild Haiti into a small agricultural hub where Canada could be growing certain crops, develop tourism there, and cater towards Canadians. Giving Canada a small foothold south of the U.S., providing Haiti with a stronger currency and more stability with a Canadian military presence. All right, granted, it's a lot to chew, but let's go ahead and try to tackle some of these points. Now, you are correct. If the United States does occupy Greenland, which Trump has asserted he wants to do, Canada will be surrounded on three sides: in the northwest with Alaska, northeast with Greenland, and then the southern border with the United States. Now, from his point of view, he's saying bring Canada on board, bring Greenland on board, and then reach out, and you're actually flanking the U.S. with a proposal to reach out to Haiti, and how Haiti, you can develop agricultural sector there, developing tourism, basically cater to basically making Haiti a colony of Canada. Now, yes, a couple things. All right. So first, we'll talk about the pragmatism of that. So I think it's going to be hard right now for a couple of reasons. Let's split this apart in two ways. Why I don't think it's possible now, and two, let's talk about what Canada probably could have done. If the thought of the logic is that Canada wants to put itself on par or make itself such a headache to the U.S. that the U.S. would not exert undue or such disproportionate influence on Canada. So let's start off first with why I think it would be difficult. We can go with the Haiti aspect. Yes, Haiti be a tropical country. They can offer a diverse vegetation for trade. It will give them a tropical outlet. It will flank the United States as well through their rear, so to speak, from Canada's point of view, because Haiti is south of the United States of America. But let's not forget, Haiti is going through a lot, and it's very hard. One, you have to get the Canadian people on board with this, and I'm not aware of any great linkage between Canada and Haiti that would facilitate this. Because I would say, what is the sale to the Canadian people, right? The Canadian people necessarily aren't imperialists. If they were imperialists, I don't think Haiti would be top on the list. You're talking about pretty much a very crude country when you talk to Haiti. Haiti was had that revolution, and it's almost been, I don't want to say ostracized, but definitely abandoned by the world as far as infrastructure, technology, and global economic integration. So these are all things that Canada has that they're going to have to impart or impose or incorporate Haitians into. Then you have to talk about the language barrier. There's a very small population of Haiti. I want to say less than 2% that actually speaks English. Because I always thought one of my things that I always proposed that needs to be developed for helping the Bantu people worldwide is English missions into Haiti to accompany their Creole language to make them more marketable. So you have the language gap. You're going to have the culture gap. The Canadian way of life is different. You're going to have an ethnic gap. Haiti is the most populous Caribbean island. So you're dropping 10 million Africans within the Canadian rules of governance. They're going to have representation within parliament. When Haiti has a problem, Canada's going to be responsible for solving that. So Canada's got to go build the infrastructure. Every time there's a hurricane that sweeps Haiti and knocks them off their feet, Haiti's going to take a lot of trade and development. It is possible, but you're working with half an island, high density, quite untamed at this point. You can say it's a tad bit Antarctic there. It's a little crazy. Local gangs rule is warlord. Basically, it's a lot of headaches, and you got to think what's going to be the ROI, because you look at Trump, it's a lot of headaches with Venezuela. But you also, on the other hand, have the world's largest oil reserve. Then, if Canada was to do that, you're going to have to worry about the United States, because are they going to willingly just let Canada put a flag to their south, etc.? So it's a lot of complexity when you start to bring Haiti in. So on top of that, for what reason? Because Trump has administration has already said they're willing to break up NATO to occupy Greenland. To me, the biggest concern for a Canadian right now is Trump annexing Canada. Who's to say when Trump aspiration is Greenland, but Greenland is just his northeast anchor. The real cherry on top of the real fruit on the tree, so to speak, for Trump could be the annexation of Canada. Canada is very vulnerable, especially given its political environment. I have no doubts that President Trump could be looking at maps every day on how to conquer Canada within 24 hours. Canada, 80% of the population are within 100 miles of the U.S. border. It's the world's second largest country, which is really, really juicy. And it comes with the resources of such. There are a lot of minerals, a lot of oil and natural gas that come from Canada. They're pretty much an appendage of the U.S. economy when you look at trade. Trump is correct. Because of our geography and the proximity of these Canadians, the economy in above the border is similar to the economy south of the border. There's really not that much that Canada can do from a skill point of view or economic point of view that the U.S. can't do for itself. But Canada has really benefited from cross-border trade. In fact, it's the largest cross-border trade in the world, I believe. So is it Canada, U.S.? I believe so. So when you put those things together, and you look at Canada's major cities, Toronto, Quebec, um, excuse me, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, for all intents and purposes, these are border towns. These are absolute border towns. Canada has about a tenth of the U.S. population. So when you look at the Americans' readiness, their expertise, their ability, the demographics, the tech gap, and the opportunity it presents, they would be more worried, because if Trump anchors in Greenland, not only is that a check on Russia and China, which is he's using as an excuse for everything now, but it's also a check on Europe. Europe won't be able to get missiles onto the side of the world either. And I feel as if Trump was to invade or try to annex Canada, and I think it would be just as smooth as Venezuela. Venezuela had 30 million people, but I think do I think the Canadian readiness is there? Do I think they want a war, or they want to stand up to U.S. annexation? Not necessarily. Trump has said what a beautiful map it would be, if you erase that line between the United States and Canada. And I think that's really a concern. He already calls Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister Trudeau, he calls him Governor Trudeau. And this is him branding, him setting the mindset. The United States is, and I hate to say Trump, because I've been doing a lot of research on the administration, and one of the guys that don't get called out a lot is Stephen Miller. Now, Stephen Miller is the Homeland Security Advisor, but people are policy, and each one of these people in the Trump administration has their position. You have J.D. Vance, who I think is the aspiring one. He wants to be the next guy on a totem pole, but he kind of lacks the charisma, lacks the bona fides or the cultural connection to the roots to actually ever achieve that. But this is the guy that's going to do anything it takes to get to the next station. But I don't think he has what it takes to be the guy. You have Marco Rubio, Mr. Suave. Marco Rubio's job is really to kind of smooth out all the stuff that Trump says in a more palatable way for the masses, to make it seem like it's not as draconian, authoritarian as it really is. And you have this guy, Stephen Miller, who is really, I think, Trump's brain, or at least the architect of this administration. There's so many policies linked to this guy. Whether you're talking about the Muslim ban, the separation of families, whether you're talking about the current migration, deportations, and on the ground with ICE. He really is a proponent of taking out Maduro in Venezuela. So he really is, I think, the architect of this administration. I don't think Trump has a foreign policy bone in his body. I think he's a businessman. His expertise is real estate development. I think he's a businessman and his expertise is real estate development and actually just getting stuff done. And I think with a person such as Stephen Miller, he found a person that he really resonates with. And when Stephen Miller talks or probably proposes idea, it feels right to Trump's gut and he goes along with it. But do I think Trump has read dozens and dozens of books on foreign policy, American policy history, et cetera, to establish these thoughts of geography and geopolitics? No, I think he's a guy that goes with his gut, and when things make sense, he commits and get it done. And so when you have a situation like that in administration, so I don't think it's just Trump as the man wanted these things, but I think he has an advisor in Stephen Miller, who the more I learn about, the more this guy is basically the reincarnation. I think neocons, which I always say has been some of the greatest, most effective policy advocates in American history, but some of them in modern history at least. Neocons, it seems, I'm like, what happened to these guys? And this guy, Stephen Miller, I think neocons have kind of evolved and changed their hat, no pun intended, to become these America First crowd. When you look at a lot of things that Stephen Miller espouses, such as a strong, muscular foreign policy, I think that, but the only difference is neocons accepted alliances, whereas Stephen Miller and this administration are more about entrenchment. Instead of relying on our allies to make us effective abroad, why not make America as strong as possible? Why not put all of our eggs in the U.S. basket? We don't need those guys. Get Greenland. And we need to be fortified. If we're not the biggest country, I bet if we annex Canada, we'll be the world's biggest country. If you annex Canada and Greenland, United States, and that combination, that union will be 25% larger than Russia. So you have a situation where their retrenchment, and in that way, it's old school imperialism, big bank take little bank type of mentality. Get shit done. So that's the reason why I think that's the headache for Canada. Now I'll take it on a second leg, and let's say that Canada did want or ever had imperialist dream. It's too late now. As the old saying is, in order to, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. And this is what's happened now. The world got lazy, especially the West. When the United States came in, and America didn't rest. And that's just the facts. You can justify why that's the case. But as America came in, put its shield around the West, made all these commitments to a global order of peace, those things are going wayside. It just took the right time and the right leaders. And that really what it is a byproduct now of the rise of Asia, China in particular. But it doesn't stop with China. You have India right around the corner. You have a Russia that wants to be involved globally. I think the United States felt as though they benefit when Russia wasn't involved globally, But in a world of alliance, but without alliance, I think Trump wants to bring on the Russians. He's going to sacrifice Europe maybe, because I think his true enemy or his true threat is going to be China in his mind. And if they're smart, they know it's really India as well. And you want the world's largest country on your side because of the resources, and they're right next door. And there's a lot of historical connection. Russia is the eastern bloc of old Europe. United States is the western bloc of old Europe. So, or the children of such. So I think if Canada did want to do something, just like Europe, they shouldn't have invested so much on being the good guys. And that's the thing. They say politicians have a weakness of wanting to be like. And this is why Trump is getting stuff done, because he really doesn't have that weakness. And all these politicians so far has been catering to the population, just been game managers. Trump is trying to win the game. He's trying to throw the winning touchdown. A lot of these politicians have been game managers, collaring the people while they line their pockets, and the oligarchs and elite feel safe, putting up their tariffs, maintaining their trade imbalances, purporting the welfare state, everything should be free. All of these things was basically neutered. I always tell people when I was in Australia, I went to Caversham National Wild Park, and it was the first time I really understand the degrading effect of welfare. At this park, they have kangaroos, and I had seen a kangaroo before in the wild. It was agile, it was wary, it was fit. But these kangaroos in this wild park, because there was garbage cans, pails filled to the brim of food. So what happened? Everybody would come in the park, would pick up food with their hand and feed it to the kangaroos. The kangaroos became so dull because they had to do nothing to really eat. So they became fat, lazy, unresponsive. Even if you took food out the cans to go feed the kangaroo wouldn't even move. It had lost all lust and luster for life. And this is the welfare state. These socialist programs, like, this is a competitive world. Canada, you think you're going to sit there with a tenth the size of the population of a world power, and you deserve sovereignty? I think the Nick Fuentes have said it. This is our goal. Yeah, if you can defend it. Like, I don't know where this mindset went in a lot of these West European countries or Canada, where they can sit and watch these countries rise and think they're allotted some type of security in this world, but it doesn't happen that way. You get strength because you are strong. And every once in a while, an ass kicker like a Trump or a Xi in China or a Putin, they come along and remind you that there's levels to this. And power actually means something in this world. Power and influence means something in this world. So sure, in the past, Canada had ample opportunity. They could have opened up the door to more immigration. They could have created a more innovative society. They should have enlisted. They could have enlisted subscription for the military, so that conscription for the military, to ensure that every man and woman felt vetted, just like Israel does. Little Israel does that. Inspire nationalism in a sense of readiness within your population to always be ready. Does Canada do these things? Is there conscription? Is Canada out there? Do they have a high GDP per capita on their military spend? These are all things that instill a sense of nationalism and that vigor to compete in the world, as well as open up the door, working on being able to integrate populations the Canadian way, being firm with the United States, developing a high-tech defense structure. These are all the things that should have been done if they didn't want to be put in this compromising position. But you can't wake up on the eve of, because they didn't get ready, because they didn't stay ready. Now they're trying to get ready, and it's too late. They're a shadow. They're a footnote now in President Trump regime, and he's proven that he's pretty much going to do what he wants to do, or his administration is going to do what they want to do. So we'll see how it goes out. But this may just be a lesson. I'm looking at so many countries. Latin America, okay, I'll let Latin America slide, because Latin America is a different type of beast because of many reasons. I think a lot of them are loyalists, and they're not rooted in this revolution of nationalism like other countries. And they're still a child of Europe, and it's the stratification of society. But a lot of these countries where you said it's your country, like I look at Africa right now, and Africa is doing nothing. Africa is doing nothing. And especially sub-Saharan Africa, unfortunately. But the world is changing. So it's going to be about those that can exert influence and have relationships and are powerful, and those that are not are just going to be their victims. So good luck to the countries that actually going to try to appeal to moral or righteous law, or as Stephen Miller says, niceties. But this is the world I think we're headed into. Might is right. So I'd love to hear your comments below. Thanks so much for your question, Austin. Like, share, subscribe if you enjoy the content. Until next time, take care. Bantu up.